Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've seen some of my videos before and are returning, welcome back. Either way, you are most welcome. My name is Andrew and this is the last video in the series I'm doing about being vegan, my thoughts about being vegan. And this is the one I promised right from the beginning, the story about the vegan on my birthday who called me a monster because I'm wearing this hat. Now, before I get into the story, I just want to say my cat has decided that it's supper time, even though he's roughly an hour early, and he's communicating that with me fairly regularly. So you may hear him in the background. We'll just have to, hopefully it won't be too distracting. But don't worry, he's fine. Like I said, he's just decided that he's gonna have supper now, but he gets fed at very specific times. So what happened? Well, it was my birthday and I was hanging out with some of my friends, and we were at my apartment, and later we were going to be heading to a friend's house, and he lives out in the country, and so we were going to do the 3 B's, beer, barbecue, and bonfire. And that was going to be like my birthday this year. So before we go, we decided, hey, why not bring some goodies? Why not get some treats, type of thing. Generally, I have to be very, very careful about what I eat because I do have food sensitivities. But sometimes I will decide, hi Shadow, I will decide I will have a little bit of discomfort on special occasions. And since this was my birthday, I thought, what the hell? So we decided, all right, thank you very much. You've made your presence known. Go on down. Good boy. So he's decided he's hungry. So we head to Tim Hortons, and for Americans who don't know, Tim Hortons is a coffee chain here in Canada, and everyone or almost everyone in Canada is addicted to it. We walked from my apartment because, again, if you're American, you may not realize this. I don't know if this is true for all of Canada, but in Ontario, there's almost one Tim Hortons in every neighborhood almost. It's crazy how many Tim Hortons there are in each city. So we just walked. It's maybe like a 5-10 minute walk to the nearest Tim Hortons. So we're like, what the hell? We'll just go for that walk. So it's September, it's early September, but I'm a redhead, so that means if it's sunny out, I'm still gonna burn. So I decided to wear my hat, and that's actually, by the way, why I have this hat in the first place. It's for some protection. It obviously protects better than a ball cap does. It has a much wider brim, and so my skin is very, very sensitive, and I have problems putting certain sunscreens on my face. The more heavy-duty ones that I would need to be protected, I will get like a rash on my face from, and unfortunately, the ones that I can use, they either sweat off almost immediately, or they're just not strong enough, and I'll get burnt. So I've had to find other ways of protecting myself, and one of those ways is this hat. So that's the general reason why I wear this hat. So we get to Tim Hortons, I take my hat off. I know that's an old school thing to do. Most people wear baseball caps indoors these days. This isn't a baseball cap, and honestly, it's a sign of respect, and I know it's a little old fashioned to do, but I still take it off because what the hell. So we're in there and we're waiting in line, and I feel a tap on my shoulder, and a woman behind me says, oh, excuse me. And so this happens actually a lot to me when I'm wearing this hat. I'm guessing she saw me wearing it outside. Like I said, I took it off inside the Tim Hortons, but whenever I'm wearing this hat, people stop to tell me what they think of this hat, and it's about 50-50. People either is like, oh, that's a stupid hat, why are you wearing that hat? Or it's, oh, I really like that hat, where'd you get it? And it's one of the two. I had someone in a car stop in the middle of traffic to to tell me that he really liked my hat. Like, this is what I don't understand why people need to share their opinions with everyone. I generally don't get that, why that's happening right now. Well, I mean, I have theories, but obviously I'm not going to get into it in this video. But yeah, so it actually happens a lot. Like, at every time that I'm out, someone says something about my hat, whether they like it or tell me it's horrible. Again, it blows my mind. But anyway, back to the story. She says, "Oh, you can't wear that hat." And now remember that the hat is off because I took it off, and I put it on my head and said, "Sure, I can. See, it fits nicely." Now, my friends will tell you, and I admit, I am the grammar police. Can't wear that denotes ability, and really, she should say shouldn't wear that. But you know, I'm also trying to diffuse because I kind of understand where this is going. I actually thought she's just going to say, "Oh, that's a horrible hat. You can't wear that type of thing. You're not, you know, whatever. You're not a cowboy." Most people think this is a cowboy hat. It's actually an Australian outback hat, but sure, whatever. If you want to call it a cowboy hat, so be it. So anyway, like I say, I try to diffuse it. I try to make a little bit of a joke about it. "Oh no, see, it fits nicely." And she says, "Well, I'm a vegan and that hat offends me." This actually hasn't been something I've dealt with before with this hat. Like I say, it's usually just they have to tell me that they don't like the hat or they like the hat. Now, as I'm Canadian, it's part of my contract. I had to tell her that I was sorry. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry you're offended." Now, notice the wording I said there. I'm sorry you are offended. Not I'm sorry my hat is offensive, because it's not. It's her that's offended, so I'm sorry that she is offended. Again, word police. But I kind of also was kind of nice about it. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry you're offended, but you know, it's my birthday. I don't really want to get into this right now. I'm just here to get a coffee and some donuts, and we're gonna go." I was trying to give her a graceful out, just trying to be like, "I don't want to deal with this right now. Let's just go our ways." She didn't, and so my friends started salivating. It was like a pack of wolves looking at a deer that didn't even realize that she was being hunted. So my friends know that I'm pretty good at debating people, especially when it comes to stuff like veganism. So they were all like, "Ooh, I want to see how he deals with this." So basically, she's, "Well, you can't wear that hat because wearing a hat like that promotes killing animals, and you're a murderer, and that's wrong." I pointed out to her that by definition, murder is a human killing another human. It's only considered killing if it's an animal. So for instance, a lion doesn't murder a gazelle, a lion kills the gazelle. A human doesn't kill a cow, or a human doesn't murder the cow, he kills the cow. Murder is specifically a human on human word. That's the point of the definition. Yet again, grammar police. I'm well aware, it's my thing, deal with it. Okay, well, you're killing it. You're promoting killing animals. Okay, sure. I point out to her that, well, the animal would have been killed already if not for the meat, and so why would you let the leather go to waste? Why would you let the skin go to waste? Shouldn't you use, if you're going to kill something, shouldn't you use as much of that animal as physically possible in order to get the most out of it? Because otherwise, like, if you, for instance, killed the cow and threw away the skin, like, that would just be significant waste, instead of using the leather to make something. So, and it's very much, I believe, like, I'm okay that we kill animals. to eat them and to use them for products. I'm not okay with, like, for instance, trophy hunting, where it's like you kill a deer for just the head and then you leave the rest of the carcass in the woods. I'm not okay with that. But if you are going to kill something, use as much of it as possible, so that there's as little waste from the animal as possible. As I'm trying to explain all of this to her, she jumps in and says, "Well, you're a bad person. Don't you know how badly animals get treated on farms?" I agreed with her, and I said, "You're absolutely right. Factory farming is horrible, and if you want, we can like sit down right now and let's have a conversation about how we can actively do things to change that practice." She didn't want to do that because apparently my one hat was more important than all of factory farming. So how much she was actually using that point, how much that actually she cared about, I don't know. If it was me, I would immediately jump to, yeah, let's do that, because one hat versus all of factory farming seems obvious which one I would do. Anyway, but at that point, she was starting to thoroughly annoy me. She was, cutting me off. She didn't really give a shit about what I had to say. Obviously, they tend not to. Surprise, surprise. And what I like to do when people annoy me is just like all out and out build a hypocrisy case against them. So basically, at the end of the day, I just show them how all the things they're doing are just as bad, if not worse, for the environment or for animal protections and stuff like that. So I ask her, well, you're vegan, so why are you here in the Tim Hortons that promotes the use of animal products? There are only a certain amount of vegan things in Tim Hortons. And she, well, I'm just here for a coffee. I'm like, yes, but Tim Hortons sells chicken sandwiches and other types of meat sandwiches and stuff like that, as well as having using milk and eggs for their donuts and stuff. So why are you supporting a business that does that if you're really worried about promoting the killing of animals? Because my hat is one hat. I'm one person. I'm probably not going to kill a bunch of animals to make more hats, but Tim Hortons is using animals and animal products on a daily basis. Oh, she didn't have a good answer for that one. Of course not. So then I asked her, hey, by the way, just out of curiosity, did you drive here? Did you drive to Tim's? Oh. Set an alarm to remind me to do something. Did you drive to Tim's today? And she was like, well, doesn't everyone? And I'm like, no, I walked here with my friends. And she's like, well, what's your point? There's no point to this. And I'm like, well, actually, carbon dioxide from your vehicle and the carbon dioxide from the oil industry and all of the extraction that needs to happen, the transportation of that oil and gasoline does more to damage this planet and drive species towards extinction than me wearing one leather hat. She's like, yeah, well, yeah, but I need a car. Everyone needs a car. I'm the wrong person to say that to. I actually don't own a car. I understand that most people do. I am lucky in a way, based on where I live, that I can get around without a car. It's less convenient, that's for sure, but I can do it. So I can drive. I have a driver's license. I have never purchased a car. So, so she was kind of stunned into silence because she's like, well, everyone drives. I'm like, yeah, I don't. So, I told her at that point that I guess that she's vegan when it's most convenient for her, and any other time, I guess she just feels like it's okay to kill animals, right? Let the animals die. She jumps in, but what you're doing is hurting animals. I'm like, well, okay, so are you? And she's like, well, no, not actively. I'm like, yeah, okay, you can tell yourself that all you want. She's getting angry and angrier, by the way. This is starting to escalate. You're hurting animals. Well, she activates my trap card. I discussed in the last video all about plants feeling pain. So I explained that to her. Apparently she was not aware of this. And I even used the example of cut grass. I asked her if she actually mows the lawn or her significant other mows the lawn. They live in an apartment like I do, so no, but I'm like, well, if you ever own a house and mow the lawn, just know that you are causing that grass significant pain, and that beautiful smell of fresh cut grass that we love so much is a chemical released by the grass that is the equivalent of if a human was screaming in pain. And I point out to her, it doesn't matter what anyone eats. You're hurting that thing. You can draw an imaginary line wherever you want to and pretend like that makes you better, but you're no better than anyone else. I know that if I eat something, there is going to have been pain caused by that action, but that's just a natural part of life. Is when a wolf eats an elk, there's no pain for the elk. She's not even listening at this point. She's fuming, and she's like, yeah, but. And that's all she's basically saying at this point. She didn't have enough awareness that she had already lost the argument, and if she was smart, she would have walked away. But they've got to you got to be like them or else. So I have a trick when people aren't listening. I find, especially when I'm debating someone, one of two things is generally happening. If it's more what I consider like a righteous idea that they're fighting for, one of two things happens. As you're talking, they're thinking about what point they want to make next. So, for instance, I could be saying something and they're like, oh, I know what will get him, I'll say this, and they're not even listening really to what you're saying. The other thing that happens is they just know they're right, so it doesn't matter what you say, none of it sinks in anyway, because, oh, well, he's just an idiot. Like, they immediately dismiss it out of hand. And so none of it actually sinks in. So I've used this trick a lot, actually, and I'll actually use it in debates and stuff too. If I don't think that someone is paying attention, I call it the green elephant trick. And what I'll do is I'll be talking normally, and then I'll like look somewhere and I'm like, is that a green elephant or is that a purple elephant? Something so out of the normal that if they were paying attention, instinctively they would be like, oh, where? Like, because that's your natural instinct, is to be like, oh, what is he talking about? Where is it? And the people who aren't listening, you can tell very quickly they're not listening, because they don't even realize that you've done this. So I did that, and she starts to say something, and I'm like, did you not hear what I said? And she's like, well, of course I didn't. I'm like, well, what about the green elephant? And she's like, what green elephant? I said, just so you know, like, I literally stopped what I was saying, looked outside and said, is that a green elephant? And you were so unaware that you didn't even realize I said it. This woman, I swear to God, she was almost about to start a fight over whether I had said it or not, until one of her friends actually was like, yeah, this guy said that. Like, he did say that. Like, her friend literally stepped in and was like, you need to chill out because he's right. Um, but anyway, when that happens, I don't want to waste my time with someone. If they're not going to listen, if they're not going to at least hear what I have to say, um, I'm not gonna continue. I won't waste my time. You can waste your time. I'm not gonna waste mine. Mine is important. So I told her that she can keep her opinion to herself from that point forward. I don't really care what she had to say. And I told her that I promised that I would wear my hat at every possible opportunity just to show her that she has no effect on my choices. So that is why I'm wearing it today. That's why I had it in the introduction to the first video. And as a result, she told me that I was a monster and that I should burn in hell. Interesting, because you want the ethical treatment of animals. You don't want to kill animals, but I should die and burn in hell. I'm an animal too. Something that vegans forget. But hey, inconvenient, I guess, to her argument. I told her that I'd rather burn in hell than be a hypocrite like she was. Hi again. Go on, down you go. And second trap card activation, Yu-Gi-Oh reference for those who don't know. I told her, well, since you brought up religion, do you realize that Jesus was not a vegan? He was a vegetarian, by the way. Or at least we think he was. It makes sense. Meat was very expensive in that part of the world in that time. It's likely that he had a mostly vegetarian diet. But anyway, I digress. So I asked her, so is Jesus burning in hell too? Because he ate animal products. He ate eggs and stuff like that. He brought forth fish for people to eat. Is he burning in hell? Like, the ridiculousness of their arguments some days. So she called me a monster. I'm annoyed at that point. So pettiness creeps in a little bit, and I literally went, have a good day, ma'am, because I knew it would annoy her, and so be it. Now, truth be told, I generally don't go in that deep with a random stranger. I don't know. Maybe it was just a combination of her and I and that day. She just had this aura that she was like holier than God, and she was right, and everyone else needed to be like her. She was so entitled, and I needed to do what she said because she said so. Very, very militant vegan. Now, also, you guys should know, I've said this in other videos too, I've done a lot of research on being vegan. I've looked at all the pros and cons, and I've actually debated a lot with vegans. I have a couple friends who are vegans. I've talked to friends of theirs that are also vegan. We've had great conversations, non-heated conversations about, the pros and cons, all the information essentially. For years at this point, there has not been something that someone has brought up that I don't have a counterpoint for when it comes to the vegan argument. And generally when I'm debating or when I'm discussing or arguing with someone, if they stay civil, I stay civil. But I find when people run out of actual points to make, or know they're going to lose, or know they've already lost, people tend to move towards personal attacks, and at that point all bets are off. And that's generally when I start to show them just how much of a hypocrite they are. Because quite honestly, Shadow, enough. Quite honestly, that at that point, when they're calling me a monster or they're telling me to go to hell, that's exactly what they deserve, in my opinion. I don't think anyone should be able to tell anyone else what they can and can't do, or what they can and can't wear, what they can and can't eat, or anything. So if they don't they don't like it, they can shove it, and you know what? That's just my opinion. They might have a different one, but their opinions are stupid. But yeah, that's the story of the vegan on my birthday, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit the like button. Think about subscribing if you want. If not, hey, that's totally up to you. Until my next video, I hope you have a good day, week, or however long it is until you see the next one, and I will see you then.